Nate, a few episodes back here on this show, Francesca and I were opining a bit on our music festivals experience. And I think I was the one who threw out the notion that music festivals maybe have jumped the shark. And what I mean by that is they're too big, they're too expensive. So it's really hard to just, A, it's hard to get a ticket. B, it's hard to afford a ticket. C, most of the festivals that we love, like the Bonnaroos and the Lollapaloozas and, you know, the Forecastles and the Railbirds and things like that, have gotten so big that they have to diversify a lot of times their musical acts. So now you've got, you know, a stage that's kind of Americana and a stage that's kind of metal and a stage that's kind of rock. And now all of a sudden you're bringing too many people together and it becomes just a big, hot, sweaty clusterfuck. And I think that the big festivals anyway are getting to the point to where people just don't want to go to them anymore. I mean, they're selling tickets, but am I wrong that maybe there might be turning a curve on people going, maybe not?
I mean, from what so Bonnaroo pre-sale has started and tickets are available now, and I'm in some of those like Facebook groups that are the insider like lineup discussions and whatnot. They're not having any trouble selling tickets, and I actually joked on a couple of the news segments where there's a package at Bonnaroo this year that's like your super premium, crazy, stupid fuck VIP that's like $24,000 for two. You get two tickets, but $24,000 for the insider experience. Mm-hmm. Who in the hell has that kind of money? Well, celebrities do. That's who buys it, right? But I think, you know, like if you do some GPT research, last year there were between 300 and 400 music festivals that were kind of documented. And I'll bet you there were even more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it doesn't take into consideration all the little local and regional festivals. Like, you know, you have your festivals that are 300-400 people. One of the most fun festivals I've ever been to is a little festival called Lazy Jam in Hartsville, Indiana. It's literally like 300 people. It's like a backyard camp out with great bands, right? Then you go all the way up to your Bonnaroos, where I think Bonnaroo is up to 50,000 at least, maybe 80,000 at this point. And then you have the various, I mean, like Lost Lands, you know, you got to look at the genres too. Like your Americana type festivals probably aren't going to get that big. Your general festivals, like you were talking about, Nelsonville Music Festival is one like that, where they've expanded across genres and they've got a stage for everything. And because of that, it's just growing. It's just basic, you know, audience marketing. The ones that stay more niche that are getting huge are the EDM festivals, you know, so, you know, Columbus is Lost Lands, and that's about 50,000 people at Legend Valley, maybe give or take some more. Those I can, you know, Lost Lands this year, people pay all that money and go. There's 50,000 people. You want to talk about hot and sweaty? There was a fire ban in Ohio because of the drought, which also included running generators. So if you brought a camper and you were going to boondock, you could not have your generator at Lost Lands. I mean, could you imagine, you know, and it happened to be like high 90s that week, you know. People still went, you know.
Sweat and patchouli.
But I mean, it's the market's all over the board right now. I think that the you know, the key is from a money standpoint, you got to get in early. You got to watch for those early bird, pre-sale, blind faith. And if you've gone once and had a good year, the previous year, then buy the blind faith the next year, because chances are some of the same bands are coming back. You see that too. I was talking to my wife about this yesterday, where it almost seems like the festival circuits kind of follow the same thing that theater troupes do, where you have this band of like actors or musicians or bands, and they kind of travel around with each other, right? Mm-hmm. Like they'll be at the same festivals multiple times per year. It's like anything else. It's who you know, right? It's all relationship based. If you're a band that's easy to work with and people like you, they're going to bring you back. You know, so that's the thing I'm scared of the most, at least in the Americana segment, with, you know, considering bluegrass jam bands, things like that, is that it'll get stale, that it'll get too much of the same bands, the same mix at the same festivals every year. And that's cool, but there still needs to be some variety, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Based on that answer and what you just said, I was going to ask, are there too many festivals? But I may reposition that and say, are there not enough?
I mean, maybe, you know, like there's the thing about the as I meet more venue owners and whatnot, festivals can have a really short shelf life. The ones that survive past 10 years are few and far between. And a lot of them shift locations. I'm working with a guy, Shane Levine, down in Florida, Sarasota area, does a festival called Whippersnap. Whippersnap originally started in Illinois. They just decided to snowbird it and moved to Florida. And so they took the festival with them. You know, they found a venue down there that they really liked and that transplanted. So still about the same size, you know, just a different market. I don't know how many people from Illinois are coming down, but maybe they are.
Interesting. And I like what you said about getting in early and doing the blind faith tickets. There's a festival that happens, and you may be familiar with it, close by. It's right outside Chicago. It's at a venue called Fitzgerald's, which just became, got its status as a historic landmark, like the building and the grounds and everything. So, every year, and it's been going on for, I think I want to say like 40 years now. It's called the American Music Festival, and it's 4 days. It's always over 4th of July. And I've gotten to the point where I don't even know the lineup, and I'm already in, right? Like I'm getting the 4-day pass, and it never disappoints. It never disappoints for me because of the music that I like, right? So it's very niche. Last year, some of the headliners were the Jayhawks and Old 97s. But then there's all these smaller names and acts and a lot of local ones too, you know, being so close to Chicago. Like our friend Nathan Graham, he's played there the last 2 or 3 years, I want to say. So, so Fitzgerald's, what they do is they'll do like a VIP, not VIP, but like a pre-sale party. And you have to RSVP to the pre-sale party to just get in to be able to buy the 4-day pass, like early bird type thing. Yeah. So I did that last year, and you better believe I got my RSVP in to go this year. It's on March 2nd. So they only let in a certain number of people to, you know, buy those 4-day passes before they go on sale to the general public. And last year it was, the 4-day pass was $225. Yeah. And I don't even remember how many acts there were or how many I got to see, but it was outstanding. And they've been doing it for such a long time. And Fitzgerald's itself, like the venue, has such a following. You can always count on good music. Like if you just want to stop in, like on any given night, there's going to be music outside and 2 different spots inside, and you can always count on it being really good. So that type of festival, I'll buy my ticket without even knowing the lineup because I know it's going to be outstanding.
So the blind faith thing, let me throw a curveball in there too, though, because I just saw the lineup for this year's Rooster Tail, which I went to last year. And last year it was Blackberry Smoke and 49 Winchester and Wyatt Flores. It was a really good Americana, country-leaning Americana show. Michael Cleveland was there, so bluegrass as well. I just saw them. They just unveiled the lineup for this year, and I was really excited about who was going to be there. And that festival, for whatever reason, and I'm sure, you know, it's a business decision, they listen to their audience, they've shifted away from Americana and more to pure pop country, because most of their lineup for the coming 2025, which is around that same time, 4th of July weekend-esque, is solo country artists who are much more in the Nashville, you know, bar scene, pop country vein. And so that's not something that I would necessarily buy a ticket to go see. So the blind faith thing is one of those, you got just maybe do a little asking around with people who know the festivals before you do that. Fitzgerald's, I wouldn't hesitate, because I know through basically Francesca that festival is always good, and they always have a great variety of acts. There's lots of other festivals that I would probably do that to as well. But in this case, Rooster Tail, and I'm not complaining, because again, I think what Rooster Tail did, and I got the vibe from the crowd there, this is much more of just a good traditional country music crowd. And so I can see why they might do that. But at the same time, blind faith sometimes might bite you in the butt.
Well, I mean, it's interesting you say that because there's also the dynamic between your festival promoters, i.e., people who don't own land or a venue and want to pull together a festival, so they're producers, and then you have your venue owners, right? Like Steve Trickle at Legend Valley, right? So Trickle's bringing in, from a venue standpoint, there's going to be a variety of festivals there across genres because they're all about like who can bring the crowds, right? Like we need to make a profit off of this. So I think that's interesting too. When you see, the festivals shift their focus, a lot of times I would bet that that's related to the venue, right? The decision that the owners of the venue are making because they're trying to get a bigger piece of the pie. We saw this, I forget how many years ago it was now, but Rothbury used to be Rothbury. It was a jam type festival with a lot of different acts, and now it has turned into Electric Forest, which is EDM, and Electric Forest is one of the more popular EDM festivals out there. They have some great stuff, and it's a whole immersive experience. That was what really blew up that venue.